Hey, everybody. Okay, so these are some of the principles that the Constitution is founded on. So the first of them being limited government, meaning that government's power should be limited, so that way they can't just be all powerful or all consuming. Everything should be based on the rule of law. This protects against abusive governments that might come in. Some that y'all might be familiar with are like, Nazi in Germany during the 1930s and 40s, communism in Russia or in Cuba. Majority rule is not always acceptable, meaning that sometimes the majority may agree with something that is not legal, which is why the rule of law is so important. It prevents abuse by factions or factions that come up again, like Nazis. What they did wasn't necessarily legal, but they came about. They were popular, and so then because they were popular, they were able to take control and change the rule of law. The Constitution listed powers not given to the government and rights that are to be guaranteed. Okay, so the second thing are checks and balances. If you look at the graph on the left, it'll kind of tell you what the powers are and what the checks on the powers are from each group. So you have the legislative at the top, the executive in the middle, judicial at the bottom, and you can see how each one of them has some powers. And each one of them can get checked by another form of or another branch of the government. The checks and balances system is designed to have the separate parts of government watch over each other. And hopefully y'all know this by now, but legislative makes laws, executive enforces laws, judicial interprets laws. It's also based on the separation of powers, which kind of goes hand in hand with checks and balances. Okay. So the philosophy is that the best government is one where the functions of government are divided. Okay? It keeps the individual parts from becoming abusive or becoming just too powerful. And our three branches are legislative, executive, and judicial. Popular sovereignty is the right of people to rule themselves. It's kind of the main idea of a democracy. So again, going back to what we talked about before in chapter 2, there's a direct democracy and there's representative democracy. Direct democracy is more of what our local governments are like. It's where we have town meetings, where we practice self-government, and where we do everything based off of just popular vote. And then representative democracy is kind of what we get more into when we get to state and national level. It's carried out through elections. It's elected representatives who then vote on issues on our behalf. Okay. Federalism. It's a system of two or more governments that operate together and share powers over citizens. So, for example, in our country, federalism looks like local, county, state, federal government, right? Or national, if you want to use that instead of federal. It gives greater control to the governments closest to the citizen. So, basically, the people who are at the local level get a lot more say in our daily lives than the national. Oh, also, let me move my picture so you can look at the graph if you need it. But here's the graph of kind of how the breakdown of how you have the federal government, the state government, and then the local government, and what they might be involved in as far as our daily lives. So the enumerated powers are what are listed in the Constitution. Oops, not too far. There we go. These are the names given to the powers that are given to the federal government by the Constitution. It's declare war, make peace, make treaties, naturalization, citizenship, immigration, printing currency, regulate interstate commerce, and the postal system. Okay. And if you want to look here, you can kind of see what the powers of the national government are, what the powers of the state government are, and then what they kind of share. Okay. So basically, this is just a Venn diagram stating straight up, but it will help you kind of figure out what the national government can do, what the state government can do, and then what they have to kind of come together and work together to do. Making money, it's a federal government thing. So concurrent powers that are shared by the different levels of government, that would be those powers right there in the middle. So it's making laws, enforcing laws, borrowing money, taxing, provide for welfare and safety of citizens. Okay. And then reserve powers, these are the powers that are given to the state government under the federalism system, state commerce, education, local government, control voting, welfare, and safety of citizens. So if you look at the graph again, here we have our enumerated powers. It's the powers given to the national government or the federal government in the Constitution. We have our concurrent powers, which is what they share. It's where they have to work together to get these done. And then you have your reserve powers, which goes to the state government. Right? And if you remember in the Constitution, there was a list of things that the federal government could not do. Remember, there was restrictions on them. That's kind of where they come back to the state. Those are the reserve powers. That's it. See y'all later.